Thank you for your participation in this research study. Today you will learn how to use the GRBAS scale to evaluate perceptual qualities of the voice and its health. Voice professionals can use the GRBAS scale to evaluate perceptual qualities of the voice. It is a very helpful tool because it gives criteria to help determine perceptual healthiness of the voice more objectively than just giving a professional opinion. It is also a helpful tool in that it requires minimum knowledge and skills to use correctly. However, it is not a complete evaluation. The GRBAS scale is a scale from 0 to 3 that is used to rate 5 aspects of vocal quality. Each letter in GRBAS stands for one of these 5 aspects. Each of the 5 criteria is assigned a score from 0 to 3 by the listener. For each of the 5 aspects, 0 means normal voice, no disorder. 1 means mild disorder. 2 means moderate disorder. And 3 means severe disorder. This is easy to remember because it goes from least to greatest, least disorder to the most severe. The G in GRBAS stands for grade of hoarseness. This rates the overall degree of hoarseness or the degree of voice abnormality. It is the umbrella rating of voice quality or disorder of the voice. When rating grade of hoarseness, it may help to think about how quickly you recognize that the voice in question is disordered and how noticeable it was to your ear. How abnormal is it when you compare it to typical healthy voices you hear every day? Let's practice rating grade of hoarseness. If you look down at your packet, you will notice that the first GRBAS scale you see is labeled Practice Sample 1. This is what we will use throughout this video to become more comfortable grading each of the components of the GRBAS scale one at a time before completing all 5 criteria independently. The voice sample you are about to hear is not very pleasant, so do be professional and prepared. Thanks. Are you ready? Let's go. How high was your rating? In other words, how far from typical do you think her voice was on a scale from 0 to 3? I felt that the voice quality in question was disordered to a very recognizable degree, so I chose to rate the grade of hoarseness as 3, severely abnormal. However, this is a perceptual scale, so it is not necessary that we have the same ratings, though it is interesting to compare. The next component is roughness. Roughness is defined as irregularity in vocal vibrations. Roughness can also be described as raspy or rattling and sometimes sounds like 2 tones at the same time. This is different from the GRBAS scale's definition of hoarseness in that roughness is a specific quality to listen for and hoarseness refers to the overall level of disorder. Using the same audio sample and the same Practice Sample 1 GRBAS scale from the front page of your packet, let's practice rating roughness. From 0 to 3, how high was your rating this time? Again, I chose 3 because I felt that the voice in question was severe in this aspect and it had a lot of irregularity in the vibration. The next component rated by the GRBAS scale is breathiness. A breathy quality refers to air leakage through the vocal folds during their vibration, which results in a halo of air around the tone of voice or a whispery quality of the voice, although it's not necessarily always quiet. This air leakage makes for an inefficient tone, which sometimes results in shorter phrases or fewer number of words that a person can say per breath. When determining the severity of breathiness in a tone, listening for a high-frequency, turbulent sound of excess air along with the voice or sound similar to white noise may help you decide. Again, using the same audio sample and the same Practice Sample 1 GRBAS scale from the front page of your packet, let's practice rating breathiness. Again, the severity goes from least to greatest from 0 to 3. How did you rate breathiness? High or low? I rated breathiness as severe because I feel that this patient has a hard time sustaining the vowels. The penultimate quality rated by the GRBAS scale is asthenia, which means weakness or lack of power. This makes the voice sound small or weak. I'm sure it's easy for you by now, but don't forget that 0 means normal or no weakness, and 3 means severely weak. It's practice time again. Use the same practice sample 1 GRBAS scale, and here's the voice sample. I feel that in this case, the asthenic quality of the voice was moderate, so I rated 2 for moderately asthenic or weak in power. If you have a different perspective or opinion, please don't change your answer. You could have a very valid reason for choosing the one that you did. The fifth and final quality assessed by the GRBAS scale is strain. A strained voice quality is produced with the throat constricted, and the tone can be identified as having tightness or high frequency or high pitched features. 0 equals normal to no strain on the GRBAS scale, 1 is mild, 2 is moderate, and 3 is severe strain, just like all the others. Using the same audio sample and the same practice sample 1 GRBAS scale from the front page of your packet, let's practice rating strain. Here we go. As stated before, a strained quality of the voice is produced with a tight, constricted throat and high frequency features in the sound. In my opinion, this sample contained no such features, and the voice sounded very flaccid and low, as if the patient had inadequate tension in the voice altogether. I therefore rated strain at 0, normal, or no strain. As stated before, you might have a different outlook on the patient's voice quality yourself and can rate however you feel is most appropriate or correct. Great job! Now that you've completed one entire GRBAS scale, we'll move on to the next practice sample. Turn to page 2 in your packet to the GRBAS scale labeled Practice Sample 2. I will now play the practice sample clip designated for this practice sample GRBAS scale. This practice sample round will be more independent than practice sample 1 in that the sample will be played 5 times with 10-second gaps in between each play to make your decisions. It is suggested that you use each of the 5 plays to listen for and complete one of the 5 components on the GRBAS scale in front of you. Again, this is practice sample number 2 on page 2 of your packet. Are you ready to hear the next voice sample? Here we go! Long ago, men found that it was easier to travel on water than on land. Long ago, men found that it was easier to travel on water than on land. Long ago, men found that it was easier to travel on water than on land. Long ago, men found that it was easier to travel on water than on land. Long ago, men found that it was easier to travel on water than on land. This marks the end of the GRBAS scale training. We will now move on to actual data collection. Thank you for your time and attention.